Hello there, this is a video about how the Internet of Things has impacted video games. More specifically, this video will focus on two topics. How video game related purchases have been changed by the Internet of Things, and how game development has changed thanks to the Internet of Things. Especially how the Internet of Things has revolutionized online competitive gaming. When thinking of going out to buy a video game, one might immediately think of going to somewhere like GameStop. However, GameStop is not doing that well, as GameStop CEO Paul Raines says that the company is not happy with its stock prices and is currently looking to diversify its business. This is due to the rise of digital distribution services such as Steam. So what do services like Steam offer that physical stores simply lack? When games are sold through digital distribution services, publishers no longer need to pay for boxed copies. This is especially important for small independent developers who never had that many funds to begin with. Online stores allow developers to release additional content post-launch. Developers receive a large amount of data for improving their product just by customers playing their game. This information can come in the form of crash logs or hardware configurations, or simply player preference and actions. This data collection can also affect the game before its launch. However, the ability of developers to add content post-launch has also given them the ability to abuse the system. Publishers have started the practice of cutting out portions of games to sell as either pre-order DLC or DLC post-launch. For both single-player narrative experiences and competitive online multiplayer games, this cut content leaves the player feeling as if they have an incomplete product at launch. For example, in single-player narrative experiences, crucial story elements can be cut out for sale later. This is akin to reading a really good adventure novel, but when the reader gets to an important chapter that details the backstory of one of the major characters, all the reader sees instead is a purchase button. And without this chapter, the impact of the story is far lessened, or maybe the story makes no sense at all. When it comes to online competitive multiplayer games, time has shown that publishers are not afraid to offer players an increase in power if they buy DLC, thereby ruining the game's balance. More recently, publishers are trying to implement freemium business models in their not free, full-price AAA releases. EA's Star Wars Battlefront 2 is the most infamous example of microtransactions as of late, in a $60 full-price AAA game. The game's multiplayer component has been solely built off the back of its loot boxes. The idea behind a loot box is that a player spends either in-game currency or real-life currency to buy a box that contains completely random awards. The rewards from the loot boxes in Star Wars Battlefront 2 give players objective advantages. Not only have the addition of loot boxes given players the ability to essentially just buy power, the regular in-game progression has been lengthened to over 4,500 hours in order to entice players to spend more. And since all in-game purchases are random, even if you do spend real-world money, you will be spending over $2,100 US just to unlock everything. The predatory nature of loot boxes has led to them being considered as gambling by many political institutions. Belgium's Gaming Commission has categorized loot boxes as gambling and wants them banned from the entire EU. It states that this form of gambling is dangerous to the mental health of children who may be tempted to buy loot boxes. Hawaiian State Representative Chris Lee has the following to say when it comes to loot boxes and Star Wars Battlefront 2.
We are here today to ensure future protections for kids, youth, and everyone when it comes to the spread of predatory practices in online gaming and the significant financial consequences that it can have on families and has been having on families around this nation. This game is a Star Wars themed online casino designed to lure kids into spending money.
Now I promise that there is a connection between the Internet of Things and loot boxes and DLC. More on that later. The Internet of Things has allowed for competitive matchmaking in online games to be better than ever. Data collected when a player simply just plays an online game allows for a matchmaking system to correctly define the player, from everything like a player's proficiency to a player's preferred playstyle. This allows players to be matched with other players on the same team that complement the player's strengths and weaknesses. This also ensures that players will be matched with opponents of equal skill, This ensures an even playing field and the most fun possible. So what do post-launch in-game purchases have to do with the Internet of Things? Well, dear viewer, for your answer, look no further than publisher Activision Blizzard's new patent number 9789406, or better known as a system and method for driving microtransactions in multiplayer video games. If Activision Blizzard ever decides to implement this system in any of their online games, then skill-based matchmaking will be totally replaced by a microtransaction engine. Such a system will take a player's data and use that data to match a player with other players solely off the fact that those other players might have something that this player would like to buy. This form of advertising will ruin online competitive gaming, as all matches will be unbalanced. All of the improvements that the Internet of Things has brought to gaming has been revealed to be included in the Pandora's box that is greed.